I'm Keely and this is Voice for Creative, and today I'm here to do the So Many Questions hashtag. The So Many Questions hashtag has been started by Jay, the Camden Stitch, and Laura, the Specky Seamstress, and I will link both of their YouTubes down below so you can have a look for yourself. A lot of sewing vloggers have come together on a Facebook group called the Sewing Vlogger Support Group, and that was started by Mel of Handmade by Ditsy Tulip. So the idea is there's 40 different questions and you choose 10 of them to answer and then film a video about it. I will post the questions down below so that you can go ahead and film your own video if you want to. Some of these questions I have answered on my channel before. So about this time last year I did a video about the Seamstress tag, and I will link that down below. It was one of my first videos that I did, so you can go and check that out. I've picked, actually I couldn't pick 10, so I've picked 15 and I'm just going to kind of go through them. The first question that I chose is how and why did I start sewing? I started sewing when I was doing GCSE textiles, which I made a dress for. Again, I've got a video on that which I will link below. And then after that it skipped a couple of years and it was in the second year of sixth form, and I wanted to make a pinafore style dress, and I thought back to the dress that I'd made in textiles, which could have been adapted to a pinafore, and I made that exact dress but with a slightly flared skirt, and it had big buttons and then big straps that went over, and I wore it over kind of black puff sleeve shirts and t-shirts, and I felt really stylish in that. That was kind of what I sewed then, and then I went on to university where I started to sew some of my own skirts and then costumes, and then started making more of my own clothes for going out and things like that. So I kind of just started inspired by the GCSE textiles, inspired by the fact that I wanted to make my own clothes and I had fabric that I could basically do that for free. And why? Just because I wanted to make things. I've always been incredibly creative and I liked the idea of making my own clothes, but also making things that I wanted to wear. Also at that time I was buying quite cheap fabrics, and so it did work out cheaper than buying actual clothes. Why I still sew is because I actually love doing it. I love having individual clothing that nobody else has, but also I just prefer it. I'd rather make something than buy it in the shops, and I think it's just become ingrained as like a habit now, that it's just something that I do. So, and I still really enjoy it. So how much time do I spend sewing? Now, if you've watched my channel for a while, you'll realise that I do make quite a few things each month, and I do spend quite a bit of time sewing. So at least one day at each weekend, and during school holidays at least 3-4 days. And I've always got something on the go, or something that I can just be pinning to, or just sew a seam or something like that. So I thought this was an interesting one. So one of the questions is, what's your dream job? And actually, although it's really stressful, I'm currently doing my dream job. So I always wanted to be a teacher, and being an art teacher is amazing. It's so fun to be creative every day, and that's not to say that it's not stressful, but actually the kids staying back after school and like having those relationships with them and teaching them and seeing how far they've grown and actually being able to share my knowledge every single day is amazing. And it is my dream job, although it is incredibly stressful. But then your dream job could be stressful. In the future, obviously, I'm going to continue to be a teacher. That's what I've always wanted to do, and that is what I really enjoy, and really enjoy teaching. If money was no object, I would like to start my own kind of art and sewing school, where people could just go and be creative. Obviously that's not really a thing because there is a curriculum and the government kind of dictate what we kind of teach, but you know, I just think it's just encouraging people to be creative in all different ways. So do I have any helpers? So you may have seen him in videos, and I do post about him on my Instagram, but I have a cat called Bramble, and he is ginger and stripy, and he is in the thumbnail to the video. I will post a picture of him in so you can see, but he does help me with my sewing, and if I lay out a pattern on the floor or fabric on the floor, he is likely to sit on it. I cut out on a table now, so he doesn't have such a chance, but he does meow to be lifted onto the table, so he can be on there as well. So yeah, he is my helper. So where do I sew? So I haven't got a sewing room yet. I'm moving house relatively soon, so then I will have my own studio space to sew and do art in. But at the moment in this house, I'm kind of spread. So my fabric stash is in this room. This is what you can see behind me. And then I sew on my dining room table. So I've got a dining room table that is a metre by metre, but then it opens out into a 2 metre by metre table, and I've got my overlocker and sewing machine set up there. I kind of push it to the back of the table when I'm not using them and then just pull them forward when I am using them. And I have a chest that I keep all my sewing bits and pieces in that I use kind of regularly. But I'm really looking forward to having a studio space to actually sew in. And this links on to the next question, which is, what is one of your worst habits? And I asked my husband this because I wasn't quite sure really. And he said that my worst habit is starting lots of things and not finishing any of them. So when he comes home, especially in the school holidays, he would just find piles of mess around the house because I would have started doing something like tidying and then I've just left it, and then I'll start sewing something and then put it to the side and start like doing something with art. And so I just start lots of things. I'm not great at finishing things, so I've got a lot of drawings in my sketchbook which I spend a long time on and then I just don't finish them. So it actually is a huge accomplishment for me to finish any garment or finish a drawing, and that's why I tend to kind of blast through and be quite intensive about doing something just so I can get it finished, because if I put it to the side, the likelihood is it is quite tricky for me to go back to it. And that will hopefully be eliminated a little bit when I have my own space, and hopefully I'll have a place for everything, so I'll just be able to put things away. What inspires me? So things that inspire me, definitely people's makes on Instagram and my sewing friends as well. And also just fabric and patterns. So sometimes I'll just be kind of looking at my fabric, or I'll just be thinking creatively and I think, oh, I really want to make a dress like this, or oh, it'd be nice to do this, or I'll see somebody wearing something or wearing a certain outfit and I'll think, oh, I really want to make something like that as well, and then definitely buy my fabric. So it's kind of comes from all over the place, but generally I spend my days being creative, so I feel like that's turned on full volume all the time. And actually I've always got like a massive list of things that I could be making, and I don't ever write that list down, but they're just things in my head that just float around there until I kind of pull one of the ideas out and then just make the item. So how do I store my patterns? So I've got 2 of these white boxes and they go on top of the cabinet there, and I just store my paper patterns in one and my PDF patterns in the other box. And my PDF patterns I keep in folders like this. So I bought 50 of these folders from Amazon because I thought that would be a really good idea to keep them in there, and I just write the name of the pattern and the pattern company on the top there. I do want to get to a point where I add pictures onto these folders just because it's easier to flick through, but I haven't done that yet. And then inside I've just got all of the pattern pieces folded up, and then the booklet of how to make the pattern as well, which is there. And I do print them out just because it's easier for me. I can't stand looking at a screen and then going between cutting out, looking at a screen, sewing, looking at a screen. So yeah, I just find it easier to store it all the way like that. So how big is my stash? Now, my answer to this question is to link you to my stash video. Now, I don't necessarily call it a stash or a collection. I might use the words interchangeably, but I just call it my fabric. This is my fabric and this is where it's stored. So I've got boxes behind me, these, and I've got 10 boxes, 11 boxes filled with fabric, and that is my dressmaking fabrics. I do have maybe 3 bigger plastic boxes of other fabrics for like quilting or laces or other fabrics that I don't really use, but my actual fabric stash is kept in these boxes here, and each of them store kind of quite a few fabrics. Let me get one out to show you. So they store quite a bit of fabric like that, and I just fold it up neatly and pop it in there like that. So I don't know whether my stash is big or not, but I don't necessarily worry about it. I worry about storing it, yes. I want to have enough storage space for everything. I don't just want stacks of fabric all over the house because it just looks messy and that makes me feel quite overwhelmed. But actually the amount of fabric I've got that is what inspires me, that is what I make my clothes out of. I don't tend to buy clothes, so that's kind of it. And I have got fabrics there to make things for other people as well, so you know, I don't ever get kind of stressed about it, and I just think that as long as I'm making things, I'm fine with it. So the next question is, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself if you could go back to when you first started sewing? And I think my advice to my kind of younger self would just be to do what I did. I think when I started sewing, I was totally fearless. I didn't worry about messing up fabrics because I was using kind of cheaper fabrics or fabrics that had been given to me. And I spent a lot of time draping on a mannequin, draping on myself, cutting from patterns, trying out different things. And the way I sew now is a total credit to that, because I learned so much, and I'm self-taught basically. I just made up what I had to do. I kind of just went with it, and then wore the things that I made, and my mum wore the things I made for her, and that was amazing in building my confidence. And I think if I could give advice to my younger self is continue to be fearless, try draping, try using patterns, try different things out, use some cheaper fabrics so you don't worry about messing them up. Use expensive fabrics, because if it turns out good, it's going to be amazing. You're going to wear it all the time. And I think sometimes in sewing, especially more now, I'm a bit more reserved, I think. And that's just because I don't want to ruin the beautiful fabrics. And it's really silly because actually now you've got so much availability of fabrics. Like, you can go online and find fabrics you love straight away. And I know I do that all the time. But going back 12, 13 years ago, you know, there weren't that many online retailers, or not that I knew about anyway. And so I could only go to, say, Fabricland, the nylon shop, the shops that were around, and you didn't always find fabrics you liked. And with the sewing community growing so much, it's amazing. So if you do use a fabric, the likelihood is you might find that fabric again, even if it goes wrong, or you'll have a fabric similar to it that comes around, or another fabric you love. I'm really pleased with the indie sewing scene becoming so big, because you do have that variety of fabrics, and that is why I'm trying to support the smaller businesses in getting more fabrics in and things like that, just because I want that to continue. So the next question is roughly how many makes in a month? And I think this really varies for me. Now, I do sew quite a lot, but then like September, I had a month where I only made 2 things. And then over the last couple of months, but I think it probably averages about 5 items a month, which does seem like a lot, but when you consider some of those items might be basics, like I'm sewing in jersey most of the time, and I'm not sewing complex dresses or patterns. I mean, this month I've made 2 Audrey jackets that aren't quite finished, and I had to sink a lot of time into them, like probably 2 to 3 full days on each jacket. For like a t-shirt or a jersey dress, you're only talking 2 to 3 hours. So actually that's not that much time. If you spent a whole, like an evening doing it for a week, you'd get it done. But I think about 5 items, but quick makes. So I am quite quick at sewing. I do just kind of go with it. And I would say that I'm not that accurate when I'm doing it. Out of all the things in my life, I'm very accurate about doing most things. But in sewing, for some reason, that isn't quite it. I just feel quite inspired and creative, and I just kind of go with it. So my favourite place to buy fabric, and I would say over the past few months that has become Like So Amazing, and that's because she has opened a shop in Bristol, so it's really easy for me to pop along there. But other places I like to shop online, so I've loved buying fabrics from Pin and Sew, and also loved the fabrics that I've got from Stoff and Steel. I love looking at Guthrie Ghani for the Liberty fabrics, and definitely Sew Me Sunshine has had some beautiful fabrics as well. I kind of have a look round and see all the different fabrics, and then just go for the ones that I want, and I've just got a list that I kind of go down of different fabric shops. But yeah, those are some of the different ones that I like. My favourite pattern company is definitely Helen's Closet. So I really love the York Pinafore, the Blackwood cardigan, and the Elliot sweater. Those are the patterns that I bought from her. And actually I really love how Helen puts on her blog hacks for them as well. Oh, I've also got the Winslow culottes, which I haven't made yet. So I really love those. They're like wardrobe basics. I feel like they fit me quite well. And yeah, so really enjoyed making those. But more recently, I'm really liking Tilly and the Buttons patterns. And that is because I just feel like when the outfits are put together with those patterns, they look really stylish, and that's something that I definitely kind of need some help with. I feel like I don't automatically put stylish outfits together. Those two are the ones that I'm sewing more at the moment. So how has my style changed since I started sewing? So my style's changed in that, well, my style's developed over the years anyway. So if you think, I've been sewing for 13-14 years, and that's kind of, I've sewn all through my 20s basically. So I started just before my 20s and now I'm nearly at the end of my 20s. Your style changes during that time anyway. So when I first started sewing, I was sewing a lot of going out dresses, and that was because that was what I was doing. I was going out with friends and things. I didn't really sew any basics. I was just focused more on dresses and skirts that I could wear with vest tops. And then now, within the last couple of years, I'm definitely more into wearing like jersey dresses, slightly more casual, t-shirts, jumpers, and that has really evolved in the last year with the inspiration of the sewing community. And I think that basically my style is reflected on the things that I can make, but I don't often buy too many things, which is why I have a severe lack of jackets in my wardrobe. I've got coats which I've bought because I thought that was always too much to make a coat, although I am hoping to change that soon with making an Eden jacket by Tilly and the Buttons. But I think definitely it's what I can make. So I wore a lot of dresses because that was what I could make, or I wore a lot of skirts because they were really simple to make. And then now I've discovered a few t-shirt patterns. I wear a lot more t-shirts and jumpers because again, that's what I've kind of learned. And so I think now I've discovered that I can make a denim jacket, that I can sew jeans and other things, that I will be opening up what I want to make a bit more. My last question is my favourite sewing vloggers, and I started to make a list of the sewing vloggers that I watch and really enjoy, and it became quite an immense list. So these are just a few from that list. If you've got a sewing vlog and you watch mine, please comment it below because I will happily go and watch more sewing vlogs. Really enjoy watching them and seeing what people are making. So some of the ones that came to mind when I heard about that question are these, and I'm just going to mention them and then I'll link them below. So firstly, Tamlin, who has actually become a really good friend. She works with me and Samantha on the Sewing Patterns and Prints challenge, and she's just started a YouTube channel which is Sewn on the Time, so really enjoy watching her videos. Really lovely personality in those, and that is how she is in real life as well. But yeah, really nice to see. Definitely Shona from Sewsfaction. Always look forward to her Instagram stories and then YouTube videos. Really great style, and I like seeing the different fabrics and patterns that she makes as well. Then I love watching the Stitch Sisters, so Nikki and Rachel, and they're just so enthusiastic and kind of positive and energetic, and they've really encouraged me to be a lot more kind of daring in my style, so think about different fabrics, brighter colours, trying out different patterns, which I really enjoy. Sarah from Like So Amazing, always really enjoyed her videos, really enjoy seeing her makes, and again it's a different way of using fabrics, brighter colours that I wouldn't really think of, so that's really nice to see. I also have been enjoying the Stitch Edit videos more recently, again really inspirational, really positive, lots of different inspiring makes. And Adele from Button and Pip, she's definitely somebody kind of more similar to me in that she likes making patterns again and again, and it was really nice to see in a recent video that she said that she was going to try making some other things, which is definitely something I'm trying to do as well at the moment. Also Lauren from Guthrugani, really inspirational, some really fantastic tutorial videos and fabric videos. That really love to watch those as well, and the list kind of just goes on and on. So if you do have any other questions that I didn't answer there, then please comment them below. As always, I always love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, please press the thumbs up and subscribe if you want to hear more from me. Goodbye.